Good evening, everyone. We are back with another Disney review. So we're doing this on Saturday. So better late than never. We're still getting it in the week. We are up to number 31 today. And of course, we are talking about Aladdin, which you can see from the background. You can see from the title. You can see from everything. And we're coming at you live on a new platform. Thankfully, I managed to figure out a way to make the setup look similar to Streamlabs. But I'm back on the old school StreamYard right now. Hopefully all lag issues are out the window now and we should be okay. But if anyone's watching, if anyone comments, please let us know how the stream's looking for you at home, whether we're sounding okay, whether the visuals are okay, and fingers crossed we should be in business. So we are doing this. This is our Disney retrospective. We've been doing this since last year.
I just thought something. It's nothing to do with Disney, but you spoke about lagging, and I think everything we do and everything everyone ever should do in future is try out, like, do this on a new software, and then if anything goes wrong, you buy new software. Every time. Yeah. It's like every time you do something, if you stream, I use new software. Sorry, I use new software. Or you go to do something. Sorry, I was using new software. Every time, and then that way you can always go wrong and no one ever blame you.
It's a very efficient way of doing things. It's worked for me so far. I'm like, you get one shot, and if it doesn't work,
kind of like sex.
A little bit like sex, yeah.
Anyway,
Disney. On to more wholesome things. Disney. So we're doing our retrospective. If you're new to this, if you're just discovering us through this video, we've been doing this since October last year when it was the 100th anniversary of the founding of Disney Animation Studios. And number 31. Aladdin. This is one of my favorites. This is, I mean, we always start with sort of our earliest memories of this. I mean, if you want to kick us off with this, was this also one of yours? Because this was like when we were growing up, right? This one.
I would say this is my favorite. It's
wow.
It's I don't. It's weird to say my favorite overall because we'll watch Hercules and I'll feel like, you know what I mean. But it
changes every day of the week. I feel like
this. If I was to pick one and someone held a gun to my head, I would happily pick this one. This is one of my top. Ultimately, it's weird because I don't remember the very, very first time I watched it, but I remember all the subsequent times I have. So I remember I watched it, last week. I watched it, about 5-6 years ago as well. Like, it's like I remember that time specifically 5-6 years ago watching it, and just One Jump Ahead was just like, I just remember that being again just the number one for me, which we'll come on to in a bit. But I always remember every time I watch it, it's just great, and it's one of them I would always pick. This or Lion King are two that I would pick to watch. If you would just ask any go-to Disney movie, this or Lion King, realistically.
I mean, that's fortunate because we're talking about both of them today. Well, you'll be seeing this one go live. We're going to be pre-recording Lion King right after that. That will be going up on Monday.
Why don't we just do the rest of them today?
Just all from memory. Yeah. Like, just go for it. Yeah. I'll do Chicken Little from memory. I've never seen the film. Let's just go for it. I'm in exactly the same boat as you. This is definitely one that.
And it's purple. It's purple.
It's very purple.
I like purple.
I love the actual poster as well. Like, if I take this out, but like, just that. Like the one that's the background, like I had it on video and it's just so like stands out in my mind.
Oh, I named a horse Abu the other day. So one of my mates just got a horse, like
as you do.
Oh yeah, exactly as you do. Which I never actually mentioned to you, but one of my mates just got a horse, and he was just like, because I think he named, I gave one, I think called it Nala or something. He has a couple of horses. He called one Nala, and then he was like, I want another name, something, and I went, the monkey Aladdin, Abu, and he went, that's a cool name, so we named it Abu. Nice. So there's a horse called Abu out there now. So yeah, that's the thing.
Jafar has a horse in this. I don't think it has a name, does it? Is it just a horse? I love how the villains always ride a horse that looks terrifying. Like Judge Frollo in Hunchback of Notre Dame has like an absolute nightmare
it's like
horse.
Horseman, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, I feel like that might be why. I don't know.
Yeah, this film was a huge film in my childhood. Like if I'm going to rank sort of my top 3 as a kid, it would probably be Hercules at number 1, this close second, and then Lion King at number 3. Like they were the ones that I rinsed the most, I think, as a kid. I absolutely adored this film. It was sort of like, obviously there's women that like this as well, but it felt like the boys, like the action adventure, kind of like Hercules a little bit as well. The rough and tumble kind of film. Had a great villain in there with Jafar. I always love the villains, as I keep saying. But Genie, of course, we're going to be talking about Robin Williams' performance as the Genie, was just so larger than life and funny and memorable. And what's great is when you watch it as an adult, you pick up on all of the like celebrity cameos he does and the voices and the impressions that you probably didn't get as a kid, but you thought they were still funny. Wonderful soundtrack. And this was hugely important to my growing up. One of my earliest memories, and I don't remember what year I was in at school, we did like a fancy dress thing. and I distinctly remember dressing as Aladdin, and it was like the Prince Ali outfit, like the white satin, the big sort of like baggy trousers and the curled shoes. I don't know what you call them. Just the shoes that look like the mountain from Nightmare Before Christmas. That swirly kind of toe thing.
Shoes.
Is that what they're called?
They're called
Yeah, there you go. I had that.
Matt, it's the most random fact that I know. They're called crab shoes. Yeah,
that's a pub quiz question right there, isn't it? I had that, and I had like a little lamp, and then I had like the big Prince Ali Ababwa hat thing that he wears. And I went to school in this. I don't know what we must have been doing, whether it was book characters, film characters, fancy dress. I don't know what it was, but I've got an old Polaroid of me dressed as Aladdin. I would probably get cancelled for doing that now, and they call it like racial appropriation or something.
I went one better. I once went into a Turkish restaurant dressed as Aladdin. I literally did. I remember this now. Yeah, I did, and this was.
I bet they were okay. If it was back in the day, I bet they were cool with it.
This was about 20 years ago now, and they all thought it was brilliant. And obviously, I was a kid as well.
Yeah.
But they all found it amazing. All the Turkish people working there and stuff. They went, "That's so cool." It was great, but now it would not fly, would it? But it's great because I had like a big purple turban and everything. Like I say, dressed as Aladdin, like it was like not this Aladdin, but like the Aladdin, well, it's more of a genie though, isn't it? But I guess like Bugs Bunny, he's the cartoon where he's like there and he's got like the turban for the genie. So I guess it wasn't as Aladdin, but like Aladdin-y kind of,
Yeah.
But yeah, like with big purple turban with like robes and stuff, and it was great. I don't know why I did it. I was like 20 years ago. Was I 9? I'm gonna say 4, just because of this. I was like 4, but yeah, just because, and it was fun and it was great and everyone loved it. But now it would not fly.
No, absolutely not. But this thing was hugely successful. This film, I actually didn't realize this until right before we went live. Did a bit of reading on it. It made 504 million in its worldwide box office revenue on a budget of 28 million, and this is back in 1992. That's a huge amount of money. This was at a time when Disney, was on top of their game. Every film they were cranking out was making a shit ton of money. It was the biggest movie of 1992 as well. So the fact that a Disney movie, an animated film, becomes #1 is great too. And just before, Lion King quickly became the #1 right after this. But at this point, this was the highest grossing animated film of all time, which is tremendous. Surpassed by Lion King. And then I believe that was surpassed by Frozen. And then I believe that was surpassed by the live action computer animated version of The Lion King. Which made
I
don't know how it made. I don't know why it did so well. It actually angers me that film made so much money. Yeah. But based on the success of this, it led to 2 direct-to-video sequels. You had The Return of Jafar and The King of Thieves, which I have on video somewhere. Are they on that shelf?
Where Jafar dies.
I have one of them there. That's my eagle eyes, my elf eyes. I've got The Return of Jafar right there. Oh my god, look at that. Look how good I kept my videos.
The BBFC ratings in the middle, kind of.
Yeah.
At the top.
Aladdin's adventures continue. Oh, those were cool. Like the flying like evil Pegasus horses. Like they were fucking cool. I remember this being 66 minutes. I remember watching this. I was in hospital in year 5. I caught my middle finger in the hinges of a door, and it was like hanging off, and it had to be stitched. And
your finger was hanging off.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this one. That's why you can see it looks kind of fucked up compared to that one. I'm going to give the screen a middle finger. So this finger looks a little bit fucked up compared to that one. There you go. So yeah, and they wheeled a TV in, and I played Tony Hawk on PS1, and I watched Return of Jafar on video. I remember that.
How long were you in hospital for?
Like a day or 2, I think it was.
I miss being in hospital for like a day or 2. When I was a kid, like it was fun, no responsibilities. Now I'd be in hospital and work would be ringing me and I'd be sorting shit out.
Yeah,
that's what would be happening.
Always. So. He's like 24/7 with this shit. And then there was the TV series, which I'm sure I watched a few episodes of, but I don't have like a massive knowledge of that. Yeah, so I definitely watched the sequels.
I'm the same. I think I've watched bits of the TV show. I'm more the one I remember the most TV show wise would be Hercules.
Yes, yeah.
Because I think just because that was set best because it was set while they're doing the song, and it's. What song is it in Hercules again? I can't remember. But like which
Distance?
One? Yeah, he's got where he's doing the training. Is that Go
Distance?
But anyway, either way, when he's
One
doing
Last Hope.
Yeah, so when he's doing the training and they're doing it, it's set between them, so it's actually a proper mid-equal rather than kind of tries to be set before or anything. It's set in a proper good time. So I always remember that. But I do remember bits of Aladdin, but kind of like I remember Little Mermaid, like bits.
Did they do a crossover with that?
They did a crossover with Recess at one point.
What, Aladdin?
No, Lilo and Stitch.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why that came to, but they did a crossover. Lilo and Stitch is a crossover of loads of things like Kim Possible and everything. So I don't know if you're thinking of Lilo and Stitch. They did a crossover of everything.
I thought Aladdin and Little Mermaid did one, but I might be mistaken.
With Aladdin like swimming in the sea.
Yeah, I could have
He
sworn
became a merman.
I could have swore they did one of that. I mean, this also led to a Broadway adaptation, which I've seen, which it's not great. And then a live action version in 2019, which again we do not speak of. We will not speak of. It was one of the worst films I've ever seen in my entire life.
That was amazing.
So
Judy fell in love. It's great.
Yeah, God, that film's so bad. I'm trying to forget it. Right. So that's kind of like the childhood memories. It's really difficult to talk about these, surprisingly, because it's just there's so much you want to say, and you're kind of like overwhelmed with everything of like how you feel about the movie. So let's just
like when I try and say things about Van Halen 1, I'm overwhelmed with everything I want to say, and I'm just like, it's just this, and there's so much to unpack that I haven't either the time or the energy to do it at this present time. But yeah, I'm just comparing it to one of my favorite albums ever, one of my favorite movies ever.
You just get it. Like, I want to see if there's going to be another one before the end of this. Another one like crop up. Let's just talk about sort of our opinions on this film. Watching it again. So which day did you rewatch this one?
Was it Sunday, Saturday? It was last week. It was one of them. It was at the weekend. I know that. It was just great. It was, but the thing is, it was kind of. It wasn't. Which one did I say? Was it Robin Hood? When I was like, I watched it, I was like, it's great. It's what I expected. But I have a different level of love for this movie. It's great, and I was just like, this is amazing, and it's just feel good fun. It's kind of like. It's going to be a weird comparison, but whenever I was when I was a kid, if I was ever like sick. And I was like, like 3 a.m, and I would come downstairs. My mom was always one of those, so she'd just be watching TV at like 3 a.m. So I'd come downstairs, but Mum, I'm ill, and she we'd put on like a Disney movie or something, just so, and it was that kind of nice, comforting, like it's like a musical, it's cool. Or she put on The King and I. Don't know why. I don't remember much of that except there's a bald guy in it. That's all I remember. But kind of like the Crystal Maze. But you never watched the Crystal Maze, have you? The bald guy from The King and I looks exactly like the bald guy from the Crystal Maze. But anyway, point I'm making is that feel good kind of like it just makes me feel like you're sick as a kid, like you're staying home from school. It's that nice, nostalgic. Yeah, it's just great. Just everything about it. The colors as well. I love the colors. I love all the music. I don't think there's really a bad song in it. Like it's one of them. But the next one I'd say there's not a bad song in it. Would not the next one, but I'd say about Frozen as well, which I know we might have different opinions, but
we might do.
It's one of those where it's just kind of like that, where there's not really a bad song in it. They're all great, and I know you've got Whole New World, all that kind of stuff, which is obviously your big hitters, but this is for me One Jump Ahead is the one. It's the one. It's just great. It's amazing.
We'll talk about. Well, I guess we could talk about the music now. So that's kind of how this whole film was spawned in the first place. Like the brainchild behind it was Howard Ashman, who was the lyricist for The Little Mermaid and for Beauty and the Beast. He's the one who passed away with complications due to AIDS right before the release of Beauty and the Beast. But he really wanted to do Aladdin, and he was working on Aladdin in like the late 80s. I think it was like 88 or something like that. Yeah, 1988. And he and his, Alan Menken, his work partner, were coming up with loads of songs. And they wrote, I think, about 14 songs, I want to say. Only a handful of them are used in the film. They discarded a whole bunch of them when the story went through a whole bunch of treatments. But it was a film that he was really passionate about and wanted to do. So it kind of all stemmed from the music, really. When Howard Ashman passed away, the writing duties went to Tim Rice, who would also do the lyrics for The Lion King as well. But yeah, the music's outstanding, and this is why I love the Disney Renaissance, because I think Little Mermaid set it up, and then Beauty and the Beast knocks it out the park with that Broadway musical structure. And this is exactly the same. Like, it's following exactly the same mold as before, and it just it works. It works for a reason. That's why we're getting Broadway musicals of these Disney films even still to this day. It hits all the emotional beats throughout. You have your villain song, you have your comic relief song. It's the like romantic.
It started not this like Little Mermaid, for instance, started that style of Disney movies, where they all have kind of like again, I keep going back to Frozen, but for instance, like Frozen it has a villain, but he's not the prominent villain with the villain song and all that sort of stuff. But when it they try to kind of fit in a prominent villain with a lot of stuff, where they all have a villain come in and they've got a villain song, they've got this. It's like a formula that works. Kind of like hair metal bands, they had a ballad, then they had the big song. It's kind of like there's a formula that works, and Little Mermaid kind of introduced that formula.
Yeah, and it's just that they were riding the coattails off that for as long as they could, pretty much throughout the entire 90s. So as much as I love the 80s as a decade, and I always say I wish I could have experienced it, I wouldn't have changed growing up in the 90s for the world, because I genuinely believe we had the best animated cartoon shows and certainly like animated films, Disney films. Yeah. We had a great time with it.
Only time Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse were on screen at the same time.
At exactly the same millisecond of screen time. Or did you say one gets a little bit more?
No, one. I can't remember which one gets a bit more. I think it's Bugs Bunny, but they have the same amount of words. That was the deal.
That's it.
They couldn't have one say more words than the other. They had to strike that deal.
It's so petty, isn't it? But we got it. Like, that happened. I always keep forgetting that happened.
It's amazing.
It's still surreal every time I watch it that those two worlds collide. I think we're going to get DC and Marvel at some point. When they get so desperate, it's going to happen.
I want Bugs Bunny in Kingdom Hearts, because I think he should be like a villain. I think that'd be so cool, wouldn't it? Like, you know what I mean? He's like
behind everything.
He's like the dark horse.
Yeah.
Or Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, because they would have the right to do that.
Yeah.
You know, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit is public domain.
Oh shit! Yeah, and Mickey is now as well.
Steamboat
I
Willie.
believe Steamboat Willie. Donald Duck is as well, I think, or will be coming up to it soon.
Horror movie.
Yeah, they're doing horror movies for all of them. Love it. So the story for this thing is quite fascinating. So I've listened to, I think it was the 2004 special edition of the soundtrack, and on that there's a couple of demos of some tracks that aren't in the final film. One of them is called "Proud of Your Boy," and I forget what some of the other ones were, but I think there's like 3 or 4 songs on that are on the CD, but they're not in the actual movie. And this was during the time when the story was developing. So originally, when Alan Menken and Ashman were doing the story treatment, they composed several songs and they added a bunch of original characters in it from the original source material. So they had a character called Babkak, there was Omar, and there was Kazim, who were friends of Aladdin. Now, Kazim is in the movie. He's not a friend of Aladdin. He's the cutthroat guy who gets killed by the Cave of Wonders at the beginning of the movie. So there's little bits that carry over here. And then Linda Wolverton, I believe she did this screenplay for Beauty and the Beast. She did a treatment and developed some new ideas for it based on the story, The Thief of Baghdad, which I think is one of the... What's the story called? It's like Arabian Nights, isn't it? And what's it called? 1001 Nights, that's what it's called, sorry. And she added things in, like a villain called Jafar. There was like a human sidekick character who was a thief called Abu. And this is where we're starting to see some of those elements that would flesh out into the original movie. Around this time, I didn't know this, Disney were working on 2 other films. Well, one was called King of the Jungle, which of course would become Lion King, but they were also adapting Swan Lake. Now, that never saw the light of day,
it didn't.
But there was a company, and I want to say it was 20th Century Fox, Swan Princess. Do you remember that coming out in the 90s?
No.
So it was very, very Disney-like. 1994. So 2 years after this. I want to say it was 20th Century Fox, wasn't it? Does it say who the company was? Oh, New Line Cinema. Yeah, okay. So I often wonder if certain notes were passed around. We always talk about it, but like Bugs Life and Ants when that came out. Yeah, like someone must have let something slip and it got picked up by the rival company, and it's like a race to the finish to get it done.
They always do it, don't they? They always have copies. There's always it's always a thing, isn't it? There's going to be so many comparisons going to come up with during this now, but they're going to come to
Now, once Howard Ashman passed, this actually kind of feels a little bit underhanded what happened now. So the 2 directors approached Jeffrey Katzenberg. We always keep bringing up Jeffrey Katzenberg, and I wanted to give him a free pass last week because didn't he have a decision?
Roth and Jim Dandy.
What?
So, but there's a band, Black Oak, Arkansas, who they're a country band, and their singer looks exactly like David Lee Roth. I can't remember how many years they were before Van Halen, but David Lee Roth acts exactly like him, exactly the same. Like, I'm not kidding. Watch videos of it.
They're the same person. Maybe it is the same. Yeah,
like everything was taken from him. Every single thing. So that's another comparison. Yeah, all great.
Things. That's there we go. That's 2. That's 2. So I can't remember what was it last week. Jeffrey Katzenberg had a decision where it actually like saved the film. And I was like, I can't imagine that being any other way. He was the guy who cut out 12 minutes of Black Cauldron, which I'll never forgive him for. And he had a lot of questionable decisions. But there was one movie. Oh, I think was it something to do with Beauty and the Beast? I think it was something to do with Beauty and the Beast. I think he got rid of the old. He wanted to make it like a Broadway musical style because it was going to be like a very
it was going to be like
dry, sort of dramatic piece. And he was like, no, this ain't going to work. We need to do it like this. And he saved that film as far as I'm concerned. Now with this one, they bought the screenplay to him, they bought the treatment to him, and he took one look at it. This was like in early 1991, and he said it didn't engage, and he forced them to just do a page one rewrite. He scrapped the whole thing. The staff called it Black Friday because it was a very, very dark day, and he never budged the deadline for the film, which was going to be November 25th, 1992. He kept that the same, so they had to start everything again. Apparently Aladdin's mum was going to be in it, and that's the song that I heard on the soundtrack, Proud of Your Boy. So I don't know whether his mum was going to be very dismissive of Aladdin and think he wasn't going to amount to anything, and Proud of Your Boy is like, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove you wrong, I'm going to do you proud, mom. But yeah, Katzenberg was like, get rid of the mom character.
Who came up with the idea of musical? Very, very first musical ever. Because like,
oh, God,
the only reason I say that is because whose idea was it to go, do you know what would be cool if every action people just sang about it? Like, whose idea was that? Like, because I was just thinking of Prince Ali when he comes in, he introduced himself. Imagine that's how someone introduced. Imagine, right? You go to secondary school, your first day of secondary school, you introduce yourself like that. You think, oh, I've got a big entrance. I've got to come in with like a big song and dance routine, everything. You got everyone looking at you. Whose idea was that? Who came up with the idea that everyone needed to be sung about? Because
well, I've just Googled what the first ever musical was, and it says The Black Crook.
1866.
The first original theatre piece in England that conforms to the modern conception of a musical, adding dance and original music that helps tell the story. Is generally considered to be The Black Crook, which premiered in New York on September 12th, 1866.
But why? Whose idea was it to go, do you know what, we're going to sing about that? Why?
Whoever came up with that, I guess, maybe.
What if we started doing that in the workplace? Someone gets a promotion, let's write a song about it. Like,
we should do this.
Yeah, we should. I'm going to start.
If only I could sing. Fuck.
I'm going to start doing that at work every time someone gets a sale. We're going to sing a song. Every time.
I wouldn't get a lead part. I'd be in the chorus. I think very low in the chorus.
Someone's got to be in the chorus. I remember used to be in the chorus when I was in school. I used to play a sheep when we did like Jesus plays. What they called nativity.
Jesus.
That's what they called nativity.
Well, they are. He is the star of the show.
Well, there you go. Jesus plays. I played like a little sheep, and we just like sit there and and just every now and then sing a little chorus, or I play an angel. I played jump around and
2 years on the trot. I played the Archangel Gabriel. I actually had hair back then, and I had blonde hair as well to boot. And then I guess
face playing an angel,
just
great, wasn't it?
Oh, how far I've fallen. My halo's a little bit crooked as of late. So just the story developed as it went. What is interesting is the people they were contemplating getting to voice Iago's character. And I think they mentioned that Eddie Murphy's name was mentioned, and obviously later on he would go on to play Mushu. The character of Aladdin went through loads of changes. This is usually something that people know, but the look of the character was based on Tom Cruise and some like models at the time to make him sort of like a bit more rough and tumble, I suppose.
A bit taller than Tom Cruise, eh?
Just a bit taller. Yeah. I have a picture of me stood next to Tom Cruise, and it really annoys me because it looks like we're the same size. I can confirm he is shorter than me, but he's closer to the camera, so it's that forced perspective shit, and we look the same height. Let's talk about characters in this then, because this film boasts an incredible array of characters. Jasmine.
Because the thing I like about her, but the thing, right, there's one thing I like about her and one thing I absolutely despise about her. And the one thing I like about her and despise about her, they're kind of similar, because what I like about her is I like how she is and how she's at whole. She doesn't want to be a princess. She kind of goes into the, like, do you know what I mean? She wants to be her a normal person. Does that make sense? But what I despise is that, because it made me believe when I was younger that there are women like that, and there aren't any. But it made me believe that there are also people
Disney
like
lied to us.
Exactly. So, and girls always talk about how Disney lied to them because they thought men were whatever. It made you think women were actually normal as well. But like, it's that whole kind of wants to go into, you know, be that, doesn't want to be a princess, doesn't want to be that. But also, who is like that? Who doesn't want to be rich? Who doesn't want to do that? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's that kind of I like that because she obviously wants to be like that, but then I like the contrast of Aladdin to impress her wants to be the prince, and they've kind of gone like that.
Yep.
So if he was just being himself, it would have been like match straight away. And but I just love the chemistry. I love the way they do kind of. To impress her, he goes one way, and obviously not to impress him, but to be like that, she goes that way. And I think that's a really cool dynamic. But I really like her as a character. I like how she's kind of similar to Bella in the sense of there's that strong aspect of her. She's not just that damsel in distress, which is great, and that's not being woke about it or anything. That's the way they were, and I think that's great, and I think she's a really cool character. But she's also that attractive, that princess. And she has a pet lion, so
Tiger,
even. There you go.
Raja.
So what more could you want from a woman?
I love the design of the character as well. I really like the outfit, like the turquoisey blue. I think it works really well. And it's going to sound weird, but like 90s Disney films, the way they animated hair is just so good as well. Like Little Mermaid when she's under the water, the way everything
that's
moves.
One thing I can't do when I draw. I can't draw hair.
Yeah,
I can't draw many things, but hair is hard. I don't know why. Just because it looks like a hat. It's hard to make it look like hair.
Yeah, flowing.
But yeah, it's cool, yeah.
I mean, they're just masters of their craft, aren't they? Like all the animators. You watch the behind the scenes and you see them just pencil sketching just something so casually, and like the flip book where you see it all in motion. It just blows my mind every time. When you see the final product as well, every single frame, I can just never get over that. But yeah, no, I love Jasmine. The voice actress is great too. And yeah, you mentioned she's similar to Belle. She is kind of challenging social norms, and there is that theme of identity in there that you mentioned between her and Aladdin. And by the end of the film, obviously, they have to just drop all of the pomp and the circumstance and just go, this is me, take it or leave it kind of thing. I think that's a really good message. I think that's a really good message for the film.
It's not. Do you know why? Because even at the end of it, they decide, we're just going to still live off Daddy's money and live in a palace. They haven't gone, do you know what, we can make it on our own. Even though they technically had that opportunity, they didn't. So technically, the message is you might want to be like that, but you're never going to say no to money. So
and
he's not a good message.
He still will be Sultan. Like
exactly.
After.
So realistically, it's kind of like Prince Harry when he fucking left the royal family. He leaves the royal family, but he goes, yeah, but I still want my millions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're going to commit. Like, you know what I mean? If I don't know.
I think the Sultan himself actually reminds me, another comparison to Beauty and the Beast, Maurice. Like the character design is just really similar to me, like the short little squat.
Do you know who
chubby father character?
He reminds me of Boris Johnson.
Why?
Because he's in charge, and you look at him and think, how the fuck did you get in charge? Like, you know what I mean? He's one of those. He has that weird, like, he's probably a bit nicer than Boris Johnson, but that kind of, because at the end of the day, right? You know how obviously when COVID happened, there was lockdowns, there was this and all that, and Boris Johnson obviously enforced a lockdown. Obviously, I'm not going to go into my theories about COVID because one, I don't have the time, and two, I don't have the energy, and three, just not the place for it. But the point is, like, one of my things was Boris Johnson, like, he enforced a lockdown after everyone asked for it. Like, there was that thing. But also, there's a big part of me that would really imagine, like, COVID happened. He gets into his bedroom at night, he's sat there on his bed going, COVID. Like, he doesn't have a clue what's going on, and he's there going, I run a country, don't I? Oh, he gets up in the morning and goes, I've got to run a country. And then someone tells him, by the way, there's this shit happening, you probably shouldn't enforce lockdown. He goes, yeah. And a week later, he goes, it's a good idea. And then he does it. Like, the point is, he's just really like, what the fuck? And it's the same with the Sultan. He's a little bit dim. He's a little bit kind of, like, he's your kid-friendly dim, but he's that kind of, like, you think, how did this happen? How did this man, this little statue about this big, this little thing, get in charge? How did that happen? Like, but he's great. He's weird, but he's great.
I don't think I've ever showed this. I have a baby Grogu on my desk because why not? I should burn it, shouldn't I? Because it's just the stain of Disney Star Wars' memory. But
true,
he's fine. He's not doing anything.
One day he's going to get a race name. Like,
as in
like, no, like,
Yoda race. Okay,
and that's gonna just ruin everything.
Yeah.
And then I'll burn everything I own.
Yeah, they'll fuck everything up. Like, they have everything else. There's time. It's gonna happen. What was I gonna say? Yeah, the Sultan. He's just playing with, like, his little animal toys. He's just stacking them up. Did you see the Beast cameo? Is one of the little things that he's stacking up. I thought that was kind of cool.
When did they start that? Because they are now more prominent. Like, they are, like, actual things. But in the past, we were spotting things, but weren't really done on purpose.
Oh well, I mean, entire bits of animation would get reused. You had stuff like in Oliver and Company. You'd see the Lady and the Tramp dog was in one of them.
Yeah,
in the
but
window,
when
wasn't it?
when did they start being this is on purpose? Because we noticed them from, I think, probably even from Pinocchio, where we noticed things. Oh, that's similar to this, but that was just watching them in succession and having same animators and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When did they become a thing where it was done on purpose, like Rapunzel's in Frozen? You know, the Beast, it's done on purpose. Because I don't actually know.
Point. This one, I think, fits that well. I mean, there are a lot of Disney references in this one, aren't there? But I think that works because of the meta kind of nature of Robin Williams and the genie's character. Because the bit where he turns into Pinocchio, you get Sebastian the Crab when he goes like, what's he go like, King Crab, and he throws out Sebastian. He has the goofy hat on at the end. And even when I was watching Lion King, and obviously we're talking about this next, you have the bit where Zazu starts singing "It's a Small World," and Scar's like, "No, anything but that." So yeah, it's probably right around this time. Actually, that's a really good point where they became more prominent. I mean, there have been Disney characters that have cropped up in other films.
But now it is a thing of just
but now it's
cameo.
Yeah, let's get those little hidden references in there. Yeah, no, I never even thought of that. Let's see. We're going to save Genie till last. Let's say I want to talk about Jafar because he is easily one of my favorite Disney villains. Jonathan Freeman does the voice and also does the voice of him in Kingdom Hearts as well. Absolutely incredible voice.
He's one of them where there is no good to him. That's the great thing. He's one of them. He's very similar to Maleficent. He has big stuff. Same thing. Do you know what I mean? They're a witchy,
mystical kind of quality to it. Yeah,
and they're very similar. He has no good to him. You know, and I love that there's no redeeming trait. And it's great, and that's what they should be. And even when he becomes a genie at the end, and I think it's just great because it's just so stupid because it's like, oh, now you will be doing, oh fuck, basically, and then he just goes straight into lamp. I think it's great because that is what every evil person would do if they get what they want, because they only think one way. They think world domination. They think this, and that's basically what he thought. Where he didn't think the technicality of, hang on, genie's a trap. There's all this, and I think it just works so well. And I think he's a great villain, and he's one of them where, like I say, he's a boss in Kingdom Hearts, because he can fight. He has magic powers. He does this. He does that. Whereas, like, you wouldn't have what's another Disney villain, but not a fighting one. Like, for instance, Mother Gothel, for example. She is technically a boss in Kingdom Hearts, but she becomes a Heartless. Very different.
Right.
But anyway, like, she becomes a big tree. It's great. But anyway, but aside from that, the point is, like, you know, he's a boss. You'd fight him. Whereas, you know, as I say, like, she's not. She's just kind of an evil witch and that sort of stuff. So I think he works as a proper humanoid, magical, mystical villain where, like I say, if you had a fighting game and you put him in a fighting game, you could use him. Whereas if you had again, Mother God, that's the only person I can think of right now, but if you use her standing there in a fighting game, you think, how would you use her to fight? You know, whereas he is that prominent, he's everything you think a villain to be, and I think it's great.
I did wonder how the magic system worked in this film, because I mean, Jafar is a sorcerer. He uses whatever device, whatever magic spell is on the staff that he uses to hypnotize people and control people with. Obviously, from the off, you have the Cave of Wonders, which is this like old, ancient, primordial being, deity, whatever it is. It never really gets explained. It's just this little gem when it's put together. And then there's a prophecy that it can only let someone in who, you know, like the diamond in the rough. Like, what is this? I don't know if this is in the original source material, maybe, and it's just in the story. But the bit that always confused me was where Jafar creates a storm with Iago running on like a little treadmill thing. And he takes the Sultan's mystical diamond ring, which then creates a lightning storm, which allows him to see who the diamond in the rough is. I was like, this is... Yeah, so I'm like, so does magic exist in this world with the Sultan? Because he says the mystical blue diamond, and he says, oh, it's been in my family for generations. I'm thinking about this way too much in a Disney film.
Everything has been in people's families for generations.
Yeah.
So it's been in my family for generations. Even when it comes down to people, you know, when you see a movie, this engagement ring, it's been in my family for generations. It's all bullshit. It's not been their family for years. If I ever propose to a girl, I'm going to do the same thing, guys. It was my grandma's when she was like, she was like tiny. She was given it by my granddad from Italy and all that kind of. I'm going to give her the whole bullshit, but it's not true. So the point is, this is all evidence now that it's not true if this ever happens. But it's always a thing, isn't it? Like, it's been in my family for generations.
Yeah.
It's just so I think the magic is one of those things of there's not really lore to it. It's just kind of there and it is what it is. But that's kind of what cartoons are all the time. So you think like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, they hit each other with mallets. They should die, really, shouldn't they?
But
they don't. But then every now and then they end up in hospital from their injuries. But every now and then they're fine. So there's just never a rule. It's just sort of it happens, you know.
But because of that, because Jafar is like super like magical and can do all like this mystical stuff right from the off, his wishes really annoyed me as a kid, because I always feel like he wastes his wishes very quickly. His first wish is to be an all-powerful sultan. So he gets the outfit and he's sultan for like 2 seconds, and he tells people to like bow before him, and they're like, we're not going to bow before you. And he's like, okay, then I'm going to be a sorcerer. And he uses his second wish to be the most powerful sorcerer in the world, which I feel like he kind of was anyway before that point. And he basically just turns into Jafar again. So I feel like he wasted his first wish as sultan because that amounted to exactly nothing. The second one, he just becomes a little bit more powerful with his staff, I suppose, but he's still kind of like the same Jafar. And then right after that, he just wants to become a genie, because being the most powerful sorcerer in the world has a caveat, because technically you're still not as powerful as a genie.
Yeah.
You wish to be the most powerful sorcerer in the world, but you're still not above genie status for some reason, even though technically you should be. Would you describe the genie as being a sorcerer of sorts?
Yeah, but the genie is we don't even know where the genie comes from, really. But the genie is like a fucking it's genie is magic, basically magic in form. If that makes sense, like magic in person form. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's what genie is. So whereas you make wishes, you can do this, but the genie is that power. If that makes any sense, how I explained it. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like if magic had a humanoid form, genie is that form. Basically, essentially. So you'd on technicality be more powerful, but you know, you're not the entity.
Yeah,
it's like if you have the power of the force, you're not the force, but you have the power.
Got
of the
you.
Force.
And then he becomes a genie, and I mean, we could talk about Kingdom Hearts. I mean, Aladdin has featured in a number of the Kingdom Hearts games. Great bosses in there. Some of my favorite levels.
Genie is voiced by Homer Simpson.
He is, yeah, and as he was in this Return of Jafar. We'll get onto the legal issues as to why that was, because Robin Williams was not happy with Disney after this film during the whole marketing for it, and felt like they broke a clause.
What do you think Hitler's 3 wishes would be? I'm just thinking Jafar, and then I thought, I wonder what Hitler's 3 wishes would be if he had 3 wishes.
Oh God, I want to say things, but we're live.
I don't know. What would your 3 wishes? Ah!
Oh, that's gone.
One of mine would be.
Go get it.
Have that back.
What would Hitler's 3 wishes be? That's a very good question.
What would your 3 wishes be? That might be easier.
I'd want to wish for infinite amount of wishes, but Genie kind of rules that out at the very beginning, doesn't he? He says, "Ixnay on the wishing for more wishes."
I would wish for Ariana Grande.
Yeah, and of course you would.
Yeah, I would. I would wish for to basically nothing ever cost me money ever again. Just nothing. I don't need to have money. Just nothing's going to ever cost me money. That's great. That's all I'd wish for. And
so would money still be a system, or just not a system for you?
Yeah, for everyone else. Just for me,
got you.
Nothing.
Okay. So the economic system wouldn't collapse then. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine.
It just means whenever I go to pay for petrol, it's like, no, you're fine. Cool. Cheers. Done.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Exactly. And then the other one would be for Eddie Van Halen to come back and me to jam with him. And then other than that, I'll be happy. See, if money doesn't mean anything for me, I can go anywhere. I can do anything. Ariana Grande's right there. I'm cool. I don't need anything else. I'm happy. I live another 5 years. I'm happy. I've had good 5 years. There you go. That's my 3 wishes.
That's a good 3 wishes right there. I like that.
I'll keep the Jews around. I don't think he would.
Yeah, no, he would. I was going to say that would be wish number 1.
Yeah.
He would be like, yeah, just get rid of him. And then I don't know. He was a painter, wasn't he? Would he just say like, I want to be the best painter in the world? Casual hobby. I don't know.
I think, to be fair, he probably thought he was the best painter anyway. He was like,
yeah,
I am. I just want everyone else to see it. I'd like to see a world where Hitler dominated.
Let us know what your 3 wishes would be. I want to know what your guys' 3 wishes would be.
You think Hitler would wish
yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, let us know what you think Hitler would wish for. JX says, glad to see your internet is up, Dale. Yeah.
It's not my internet, but it is internet. And if my 3 wishes come true, I will never have to pay for internet again. So watch this space.
Yeah, I wanted to just talk about Kingdom Hearts a little. Oh God, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to talk about Kingdom Hearts a little bit. I know that must be what an absolute grind for you. So yeah, Agrabah features numerous times in the games. You've got Jonathan Freeman back as Jafar, which is always a pleasure to hear. However, I feel like there's still we keep talking about which worlds we want to see in another Kingdom Hearts game. And do I want to see Agrabah back? Probably not. I think it's probably, let's get some new worlds in there. However, watching this film again, there are at least 2 bosses, which I think would be fucking phenomenal. So in Kingdom Hearts, you have the Cave of Wonders, who's a boss, and you have Jafar, and you have Genie Jafar, kind of. Although you really just hit the lamp
Well,
that
the second one
Iago's
is a proper boss.
kind of, yeah.
You get to fly on a magic carpet.
There's 2 bosses watching this film that. So when I was watching this film, I was just thinking this would make a great Kingdom Hearts level. Number 1 is when the genie turns evil and he picks up like the palace itself, and he's like fucking Chernobog genie.
He does that. He closes his eyes and he punches you.
Yeah,
And
yeah. He's like, sorry, Al, and he's just So that boss would be really cool. But Jafar as the snake would be an amazing. I imagine that would be like the Hydra or something. Would be like a really really cool boss fight.
It would. I just think it's kind of done its time. Like you've had.
Jafar, no, it has. It has.
The thing I didn't like was they changed the. But I don't like it when games or anything do this. It changed what Agrabah looked like in the second one. Like the look of it was different. I don't like it when any games or anything do that. I just think I want more consistency. But I preferred the Agrabah look in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
We had like you had the desert as well. Like you had the big open desert, which we had one of the optional bosses in, which was really really cool. I do. I think Agrabah. I think if you had that in, let's say they weren't in the first 2 Kingdom Hearts games, you had it like Kingdom Hearts 4 and a big. Like I think that would work. You could have a proper like Assassin's Creed Origins kind of setting, like I know it's Egypt, but you get what I mean, like a proper deserty and like I think a really big. I think that would be really really cool. Like that would work so well. But then again, wouldn't it be cool to have like an open world Aladdin game? That would be so cool. An open world Aladdin game, that would be amazing. Kind of what Assassin's Creed was, really.
Yes,
because it all came from Prince of Persia, which
it would be similar. So just talking about the villain, it reminded me of a PS1 game that I owned as a kid, which was hard as balls. I mean, I could go back and try and play it now. I'd probably think this is the easiest game ever, but I remember being stuck on it for ages. It was called Disney's Aladdin in Nazira's Revenge. It came out in 2000, and I had it on PlayStation 1. And apparently this is in continuity with the TV series. It's set after Return of Jafar and before King of Thieves.
24 years ago. There are people that weren't born then that now have kids. And if you're in Liverpool, there are people that weren't born then that now have kids.
It's true. And Nazira, who's the villain in it, is Jafar's twin sister.
Oh, I hate shit like that. Really do.
So,
I hate it so much.
So you have a twin sister.
Yeah, I hate that. Getting other fun. No, there are 2 of them. That's basically it.
Can we just give a little bit of love for Gilbert Gottfried as Iago?
Do you know what? I love Gilbert Gottfried, and like he was what I really there's one thing I really love. I don't know if you ever watched it, but Matt LeBlanc did a show called Episodes. Which was basically like it was him. You know how like Americans always butcher loads of English TV shows and movies and stuff. So it was like it was this couple that made a British TV show. It was winning the awards. It was doing really really well. And then these Americans were like, oh, let's make an American version of it. They went over to America, and for some reason they cast Matt LeBlanc, the guy that plays Joey, to play some old dude. And they put him in it, and they really fucked it. It's basically like a comedy of like they're just showing how much Americans screw with shit. But anyway, it was him in it, and then he was like the host of the game show in part of it. And then Gilbert Gottfried just showed up, and like one of the because you know how in game shows you have the whole they give people punishments and stuff like in Big Brother, that sort of stuff. And one of the punishments was them to sit in a box and have Gilbert Gottfried just stand there and read the Bible to them. That was one of the punishments, and it was great. I was like, that's amazing. So until he like basically the punishment was until he finished the Bible, so he'd just stand there with them and read it, and it was great. They were just trapped in a little box with them on a chair, and Gilbert Gottfried stood there reading the Bible. And I was like, that's a great punishment. It's amazing.
He is one of the best audiobook readers I've ever heard. You've seen the video with him doing 50 Shades of Grey, right?
No.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to show you that as soon as we're done on here. Yeah. He's like, what is it like? Herclitoris, and he's doing like his Gilbert Gottfried voice.
That's actually amazing.
I love Iago in this.
A bit like Pee Wee Herman, though, doesn't he?
No.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I don't
see it. A little bit.
I don't see it.
He does. They're both dead and under the ground.
Now, apparently, Iago, like the original personality that was going to go for it, was going to be like a very upper class, posh British voice, which I guess kind of became Zazu maybe with like Rowan Atkinson.
With him, though.
No, this was just the concept of the character, and then I think that some of the Disney people, the producers or whatever, really liked his character in Beverly Hills Cop 2, and they were like, let's try and get him, and then the character came from there.
Iago is a great character, though.
Oh, he's brilliant. Yeah, just that really good sort of like comedy psychic. And when you watch it, you think, "Oh, is this going to kind of ruin Jafar as a villain?" But it's a weird kind of odd coupling between those two. But I think it works. What doesn't work, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to bring it up. I don't know what possessed them to do this with the live action version that came out in 2019. So you know how in the animated one at the end, Jafar becomes the sorcerer, and he's like, "Perhaps you'd like to see how snake-like I can be," and he becomes like the massive cobra, and you have a great like action sword fight, and Aladdin's like surfing on like a jewel, and he's got the sword and he's slashing at him. That's what we got in this version, the animated version. The live action version says we're going to do one better than the snake. We're not going to have Jafar transform into a giant snake. We're going to do you one better. We're going to have Jafar make Iago really big into like a big parrot.
Isn't that what they do in Maleficent? They make the crow the dragon.
Yeah. What? But Maleficent's got the horns on her head.
I know. I don't agree with that movie either. But there's a lot of Disney live action stuff I don't agree with.
Awful. Yeah. Right, we've got to talk about. Well, we haven't talked about Aladdin himself. I really like Aladdin. I think he's a cool character. I think the voice works, the mannerisms work.
He is, but he's definitely outshone by the genie in the sense of like, obviously that was obvious, but like he is. But to say he's the lead, it is one of them where the lead is the genie.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's weird because it's kind of like when you. I mean, this is kind of going back to live action a little bit as well. But like I know because obviously you got Will Smith. It's obviously not Robin Williams. Like it's nowhere near as good, obviously, but. It's that overshadows the main character in a lot of ways still. Not because of who it's played by or anything, but just because of the way the character is. Just the whole thing is representative of that.
Let's talk about Robin Williams now. Then let's get into it because we want to save like the main man till last.
He was in Mrs. Doubtfire.
He was. He was in a lot of things.
He was in
Jumanji. He was in Hook.
He was. Yeah, he did good things.
I don't even know where to begin to talk about Robin Williams as the genie in this because
he's a good actor, wasn't he? He was all right, to be fair.
Oh, he's fantastic, amazing range.
Shame that not many people know his name. Should have been bigger than he was. He was. Well, he was. To be fair, the great thing is as well. He's a comedy actor. He's basically very Jim Carrey.
Yes, very zany, off the wall.
Yeah, and he does obviously different voices, and he could be that. Because the great thing is Prince Ali. That's as much as One Jump Ahead. That's my favorite song. Prince Ali is the big. It's got loads to it. Like there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of like impressions. It's produced very very well. It's basically Robin Williams just doing a load of shit basically, which is great, and especially what Jim Carrey does. Like you know what I mean. And that's why I say like those two are very very similar. And Robin Williams he was a stand-up comedian first, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So it's that comedy. It's my favorite thing was when he said he was comparing what life on drugs was like when he was basically saying that he was like you have these things called blackouts, and then he was going it's not great. He's like it sounds great, but basically it's your brain saying right I'm going to leave now. It's like so you do you like I'm going to leave the penis on, have fun. It's like but you're about to have sex with a goat. That's what I'm saying. I'm about to leave, and it was great, and it's just shit like that. It's like you say, it's zany. It's so like off the wall. It's so and that's great, and that's what they were able to show in Aladdin, which was really really good. Like just like you say when he turns into different creatures, or in Prince Ali when he turns into
loads of people, everything doesn't
like
he?
The girls as well when he does little girls voice. What was it? What's the line in that song?
100 bad guys with swords.
No, that's the child when he turns out into the child.
Oh, you told me when he's on the balcony.
Yeah. But the thing is, there's loads like you say that they change it, and it's Robin Williams being Robin Williams, and that's what I think the genie is. It's literally Robin Williams being Robin Williams, which is great.
Could you imagine sort of like hearing all of the recordings? Because this guy was just ad-libbing left, right, and center. Like apparently they gave him line suggestions and kind of like a vague idea of what the scene is. And there were probably some scripted lines that they absolutely had to have for the necessity of the story, but they just let him go.
I would love to see him behind the scenes just doing all like back when he was off his head, like doing drugs, then record. I would love to just see it, just him in action, because he probably wouldn't be any different. He'd just be there like snorting a line and be like, right, cool, and then you'd be like, cool, and you'd be like, if we took that line away, you'd do the same thing. It doesn't change anything, does it? It's great.
He's just so quick, and there are some behind the scenes videos of him doing lines from Aladdin and some jokes that didn't make it in. But the ones that do make it in, it's just so him. Like the bit where he does Jack Nicholson is one of my favorite bits of the film because I love Jack Nicholson as an actor. He's like, all right, Sparky, here's the deal. And he's got like the shades on. just so many impressions that you couldn't wish for a better voice actor for it. And apparently the character was written with him in mind as well. I don't know if it was Katzenberg, but he was kind of against the idea of having Robin Williams in the film. Again, fucking idiot. Just like, I'm so glad they got him and he agreed to do it. Now, he did have a falling out with the company. Because I think it was Touchstone, which was a company that belonged to Disney, I think, like a sister company to Disney. They helped him get Good Morning Vietnam made, and it was a huge success. So as a thank you, he decided to do the voice of the genie for a considerable pay cut. He said he would do it for $75,000 when his normal rate was like $8 million or something like that, on the condition that they wouldn't use his name to market the film, and that his character likeness would take up no more than 25% of any marketing material that they did. Now, Disney kind of went against this in a lot of ways. For example, the main poster. Who would you say is the main focus on that poster? Where is your eye immediately drawn to as a poster?
I want to say Iago. I'm gonna go with the genie.
The genie, right? So Disney were apparently doing this all the time. They were like making him like the biggest thing on the poster, and a lot of the supporting characters were really small on there. They were using his voice from the movie for commercials and food commercials and things like that to tie in with the film. And he felt like they breached their agreement, their contract, essentially. So he had a big falling out with them. Disney tried to... This is so surreal. Like, I was reading about this. It sounds ridiculous. They tried to assuage Robin Williams by sending him a Picasso painting, but he said that the painting didn't really fit his decor at home. So it was this whole thing. And anyway, that's the reason
I don't think Picasso fits anyone's decor.
No, exactly. And anyway, that's one of the reasons that he didn't return to voice the character in The Return of Jafar. When the next chairman at Walt Disney came in, Joe Roth, he did a public apology to Robin Williams, and that's why he came back and did the voice for the character in King of Thieves. So it's all very fun, isn't it? So I think it was just Robin Williams felt like he got conned a little bit. Like, he did that out of the good grace of his heart, I guess, taking a massive pay, because that is a huge, massive pay. Like, he could have said, like, no, I want 8 million for it. If you want me to be in it, I'll do 8 million. But he said 75,000. Still a lot of money. Of course it is. But
I'll do 75k.
So it is a bit of, it is quite dodgy on Disney's part there. Do you have a favorite joke from the genie in the movie that just gets you every time, or a line, or... I mean, there's so many, isn't there? But
do you know what? I don't. This doesn't count because it's not the genie, but like it is. It involves the genie. When what's the first wish Aladdin does, which isn't a wish? When he goes, "Yeah, that's not a wish." He doesn't say "I wish," and then it's the genie's reaction where he's like,
"Oh, excuse me."
Yeah, he's like,
yeah.
That I just like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like I said, I know it's not the genie making a joke, because I could pick any. I think the whole Prince Ali, any of those. It's not even it's not a joke, but all those impressions, and I like the actual what's the word? Not the song, but the scene, I guess. But you know what I mean? The whole thing is him. I love that whole sequence. That's the word. Sequence of things. But yeah, I want to pick that. I know it's not a joke the genie makes, but it's that whole reaction that he has with okay, kind of thing. And it's just, I think.
Well, the bit where he's the bit where they get to that oasis.
Yeah.
And
he's like, which one? And then he's
like, oh, I feel sheepish.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I don't know why, because I say it's not a joke, but yeah.
Oh God, which bits do I? So I mentioned the Jack Nicholson part. That always gets a laugh out of me. One that I quote all the time is his first line in the film, because I'm getting older and my joints are getting a little bit creakier and aching a bit more. It's like 10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck. Like, I love that bit. Oh God, there's so many. Jesus Christ, where do you even start? The bit where he's disguised as the bee, when right before, at the balcony scene where Prince Ali is trying to woo Jasmine, and he's like, compliment her, the hair, the eyes, pick a feature. He's like, you're magnificent, wonderful, beautiful, punctual. Like, that bit always makes me laugh.
He's a bit like Jesus, isn't he?
Yeah. In many ways. I mean, there's just so many to mention, but it's just absolutely outstanding. I think the animators would have had an absolute whale of a time, like getting those recordings back from the dailies and just going, what can we animate to this? I imagine just like the possibilities and the zaniness that they could go with that voice is just limitless. And I know they've had like celebrity voices before in Disney movies, but I feel like this is that.
We spoke about this before, didn't we? How they're now becoming more prominent celebrities, whereas at first they were unknown cast.
Yeah, it was like stage and screen, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Probably a little
now
bit.
There's a lot of they still do the stage and screen. So like we had like Idina Menzel, whatever.
Yes,
from Frozen.
yeah.
Like, they still get all that, but like you'll have people in it that you go, oh, like you got Eddie Murphy and Mulan, and you know, so they have started to have a lot more prominent people because it attracts attention to them, doesn't it?
And as I say, I know they've done that before, but Robin Williams as the genie feels like it's that big one. You know, like Oliver and Company, you had like Bette Midler as Georgette, and you had Billy Joel as Dodger and things like that. You've had it before, but this just feels like this is now the trend kind of thing moving on. We're going to get like these big celebrity names to play these characters. I mean, I guess we've got to, not to bring like a downer on it too much, but I remember hearing the news of when Robin Williams passed, and it was a very, very strange situation because out of the blue, before I'd even heard the news, I was just sat at my computer right here, and I was on Skype to my friend, and I wanted to listen to some music, and I was going down a bit of like a nostalgia trip, and I was like, oh, I haven't listened to the music from Aladdin for a long time. I'll listen to the soundtrack. I feel like I did.
It was you.
And
I did that with Eddie Van Halen. Like, I did. I was talking to, some girl was asking me about, like, we were talking about music, and obviously Van Halen was going to come up because it's me. And then I was just showing her loads of stuff of like Eddie Van Halen, being like, oh, this is great. And then the next day he died, and I went, oh. So I was like, that was me. That was my fault. So we have powers.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Danny DeVito's doing right.
Don't shut the fuck up, because we've got Hercules coming up soon. I'm not going to deal with that shit. But yeah, I was listening to the Aladdin soundtrack and I was going through it, and I think it got to Prince Ali. I'm pretty sure it did. And then a message popped up on Skype from my friend, and she just said, Robin Williams has died.
And you're like, oh shit. And
I freaked out. And you rush to Yahoo, you rush to Wikipedia, Google, wherever it happens to be. And then I saw the news, and the music was still going on in the background, and I was just absolutely gutted. It was so surreal. But then, Disney actually did that really touching tribute, didn't they? Do you remember when they posted that picture of Aladdin hugging the genie at the end of the film? And it was like, thank you to, Robin Williams, who made I can't remember what caption they said, but I thought it was a really nice tribute to him. However, like every time I watch the ending now, and the ending's just sad anyway, just in terms of context of the film, of the character and that friendship between Aladdin and the genie. But now for me, it takes on a whole other meaning at the end when he says like he just wants to be free and he wishes for his freedom at the end. Genie, you're free. The Alan Menken's phenomenal score comes in, and you can hear Genie is like holding back tears. He can't believe it that he's free. And he's like, oh, I'm off to see the world. And then he stops and he sees that Aladdin's getting kind of upset. And, you'll always be a prince to me, and the two hug each other. That scene always got me anyway. But now to me, it always has that other meaning to it now, that other thing that you can take away from it. So, it's a beautiful ending, like the music and everything. We've already talked about the soundtrack. We could talk about the soundtrack some more because it's fucking great. Alan Menken, absolute legend, easily in my top 3 composers of all time. The man's an absolute genius, and the soundtrack to this is this won Academy Awards Best Original Song for A Whole New World, but Friend Like Me was also nominated too.
Do you know what I find about Friend Like Me? Like it's up there, it's great, but it's always one that I always think, why does that always win? Like maybe just because I think, One Jump Ahead is the best one.
Yeah.
But there's a few that I always think are a little bit ahead of that. I get Whole New World, I get that. Like you see some of you, I get that, I get. But Friend Like Me, A Friend Like Me, whatever. Like I always see some that I think, yeah, that would be like 5th place for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I always just see it like that.
And then it won an Academy Award for Best Score as well. I can kind of see that, but I mean, it's so difficult to pick one that's just great, isn't it?
Prince Ali. That's me. It's the sequence. It's the whole sequence of doing it.
It's got a great beat to it.
Ahead,
like when they first start rolling up, and you just get that like dun 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 dun, and you start like headbanging, like here we go.
It's great, and the live action one isn't.
Jafar's reaction to that is my favorite line in the whole film, and it killed. Like the line delivery is fucking perfect. It's where Sultan says like, and we're all happy to have you here. And Jafar, yes, he's happy to see you too. Ecstatic. Like just that deadpan. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I mean, A Whole New World as well. The pop version, Peebo Bryson and Regina Bell. I checked this. It says as of 2024, it's the only Disney song to win a Grammy Award for Song of the Year. And deservedly so as well. It's one of Disney's best. That whole sequence. So if we talk about the soundtrack now, you've already given your favorite song. So your one jump ahead is your number one for the movie.
Then Prince Ali.
See, I like this. I've got to go with the cop out answer. I've got to say A Whole New World, haven't I? Just that whole sequence.
Do you know what?
You get like the violins at the beginning and they're flying into the sky.
I would love to see a parody of Whole New World with loads of different characters. So you've got obviously Aladdin and Jasmine, but I'd like to see it with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. or like Freezer and Cooler, his brother. Just something of. I don't know why. I just think it'd be cool, wouldn't it?
That same sequence played with different characters.
Or fucking yeah, exactly. Or like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un, like together. I think
the same song, the same lyrics.
Yeah, the same song, so
Okay.
everything. But just them on the magic carpet. I think that would be so cool. I think that would be amazing. Disneyland should get on this shit where they have like you on a like, do you know that kind of romantic bit? They have like a carpet and then you and someone else on that carpet and you're like in like a frame and you pose for the picture. But that'd be great. That'd be so cool. Because how cool would that be? I'd pay for that shit. I'd go there with like a missus and be like, "Cool, it's going to be our photo." That'd be fucking sick. So I think Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong Un, amazing in that video. I think that would be brilliant.
Oh, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas now. We're going to see if someone can work the magic on that. I'm actually down for that Vader and Luke one because I think that would be a genuinely nice character moment.
Exactly.
It's a father and son bonding moment.
That's
but
what I mean.
You've also got young Anakin where he's like looking up at the skies and he's like, "Has everyone been to them all? I'm going to be the first one to see them all." And then he gets on his magic carpet.
I think it'd be great. I think you could put any two characters together with that. I think it'd be great.
I could show you the.
That's more Bane though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
No, but like you could have Bane and Batman. They could have the Joker and Batman. That'd be
cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That could work with any two characters. I think that'd be amazing. Because think even like Beast and Belle, that would work together, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Any two character pair up. That's the other question I'd have. Which two characters would you mainly pair
Yes.
up?
On specifically on the Whole New World magic carpet.
Mine would be Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un. Have you seen their carpool karaoke?
No.
There you go. That's one I had to show you. That's great.
Yeah, A Whole New. That is probably my favorite sequence in the film. Like when I was watching it the other day, that was the scene I couldn't wait to get to. That's the shit that dreams are made of, Matt. Like that is.
That's a Van Halen reference.
Yes, yeah.
That's a Van Halen reference. Oh,
woo! And their best song as well, in my opinion.
You got one in this time.
Yes, getting one for this. So it's 31 to you, and it's 1 to me so far. Actually, no, it's a lot more than 31, isn't it? Because sometimes you have like you get like a combo going in the review. This whole sequence, like, I couldn't wait to get to this one. To me, that is what Disney is. You know, you think of the Disney Renaissance, I think of the ballroom dance sequence from Beauty and the Beast. I think of Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid. I think of Circle of Life from Lion King, and I think of this magic carpet
like when
ride.
they did Lilo and Stitch, you know how they had the like Stitch was going into the movies.
Yeah.
So you had him in the ballroom scene. This is one of them. He was on the I can't remember if he was on the carpet or was he? But he interrupted this scene.
Yeah.
So it's the big scene.
And it's just the soundtrack, like the song aside, but just like the actual visuals and how creative they get. The bit where they sort of like swirl around the cloud, and you actually feel like you're on that ride with them, with how they keep the energy going through the screen. There's the serenity of, you know, like the flying above the clouds, and then there's like the bit where they're nose diving. You know, don't you dare close your eyes, and it's brilliant. And also, they fly through Greece. They fly through like all the Greek statues in the temple. So they fly through Hercules Land, and they end at a Chinese temple, which looks very much like the one from Mulan.
Futuristic.
So yeah, it's looking to the future.
How did they manage to do that in 3 minutes?
Well, they go through Egypt, they go through Greece, they go through China, don't they?
Yeah.
So
How do they manage to do this in 3 minutes?
it's just supersonic speed, I guess. I'm not sure. So that's probably my favorite song. I'm going to give a shout out to an underrated one. And it's a minute long. It's 1 minute, 1 second. And it's right after that Prince Ahmed goes like, you were born a street rat, you'll die a street rat. And it's Aladdin walking back to his home at night. He's like, riff raff, street rat, I don't buy that.
Okay, yeah.
It's a really nice melody. You know, they'll find out there's so
Yeah.
much more to me. And then you get the shot of the palace at night time from the distance. It's fucking beautiful. I wish that was a fuller song. I wish that was like a longer fleshed out song. Because it's called One Jump Ahead, One Jump Ahead Reprise.
Yeah,
but it doesn't.
It is One Jump Ahead, but it's just them in like a what's the word? Not acoustic. What's the word? Ballady version.
Yeah, but I just really like. I think it's a really nice melody, and I would have liked that to have gone on a little bit longer.
Melody is the name of
Ariel's daughter
yeah.
in The Little Mermaid 2. What's it called? Journey to the Sea? Return to the Sea?
I think so, and it's
something like that.
Sister.
Yes, it is. Oh, again, another sister, another evil twin sister. Fuck's sake. Yeah. So I'm trying to think if it feels like there's a million and one other things I need to say about this film, and I'm drawing a blank. Anything else we can talk about that we haven't said already?
A boo.
Oh, I need to talk about.
I had a friend that dressed like a boo once.
What, a monkey with a little fez?
Yeah, he was a little black kid. Like, honestly, this is a thing. This is actually a thing. I was in Barbados.
Oh, we're getting so cancelled. We're getting so cancelled, and this is you. This is all you. I have no part in this, guys.
I was in Barbados, and obviously they're all black people, as they are. But I was over there. I was like 5. This was like 99 or something. Might have been like 5, 6, whatever. And I can't remember his name, but I saw this video, and the reason this is coming to my head is because I saw it this was about like 10 years ago now, whatever. But it was just one of those that was saved on like one of our hard drives, just because when you're a kid, you film everything. Like my dad had it saved.
Right.
I went through it, and I saw, and he literally had the little fucking fez on and everything like that.
The little waistcoat.
I don't think he had the waistcoat, but he had like the little fez hat, and I think we both did it. We were like doing monkey impressions, and I kid you not, for a split second thought it was a genuine monkey. And the funniest thing was, I thought genuinely for a split second it was an actual monkey. But the funniest thing is, my brother walks in at the same time and thought it was a fucking monkey and went, "Is that a monkey?" And it was funny because I was like, "Oh no, shit! I don't remember his name now." I was like, "Oh, that's that kid." Yeah, like, oh,
so bad.
Yeah, I know it was
so fucking bad.
Great, but it's fun because I don't remember his name, and he might actually be dead. Only because because when we left Barbados, there was a tornado warning in that area just before we left. So the point is, he could have been hit by a tornado. Oh, but if he's not, I hope you're doing well because you were cool.
A boo if you're watching. We got a comment from Brian. Brian Emery says, "I love Aladdin. It's a good movie and one of my favorite worlds in Kingdom Hearts." Yeah, it's probably definitely one of my favorites in the first one. Absolute bastard of a secret boss though. When you go back to the
Yeah, these who was named after a kid that won a competition.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it was. Cool. I don't remember what the competition was for, but he won a competition for his name to be in the game. It was Kurt something, and it was they called the secret boss after him, which is kind of cool to be fair. Imagine like winning that, and you had the secret boss called like Chris Garner. Imagine that. That'd be so weird. It'd be like, this is so interesting. But yeah, that's what you want. I'd say Aladdin's one of my top ones. Top bosses as well. The first the first Jafar genie boss fight in the first game. That was shit though.
It keeps like moving.
Yeah, we just hit the lamp. It was a bit shit. I didn't like that. But aside from that, like it was great in the second one, great in the first one. The rest of that world, and the Cave Wonder was such a cool design. Yeah, it was wicked. Yeah, that was.
You see some like extra rooms from like that you don't see in the film.
Yeah, that was cool, and they had the challenges. Like I think it was in the second one where you go up. No, you go down. You're on like the floor, and you fight the Heartless, and then it disappears. You fall down. You fight the Heartless, disappears. You fall down, and and then when you fly out of it as well, when it's all like in lava, and it's just that's cool. Yeah.
I definitely noticed a lot more digital stuff in this film as well. When you talked about Cave of Wonders, there, the whole escape on the flying carpet. Yeah. When he goes like start panicking, and you get that like 360 flip. It's like super digital there. So you're seeing more of that digital stuff coming into the film. Kingdom Hearts. You got the centipede pop boss thing. You have to check which one moves.
Is that only
or stays put, isn't it?
Is that only in Final Mix though?
I think it is.
Maybe. I think maybe because it's more of a. It's more like one of those like it's got a really lot of health and it's. I don't know if it's.
It's a synthesis ingredient, isn't it? I think
that's why I think it's only in Final Mix. I can't remember, but that's centipede boss. It's and going right up to the gates as well. But I do think the courtyard of the gates looks so much better in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Is it one of the places that the Shadow Heartless show up as well, or is that just in End of the World?
No, there's what Shadow? What do you mean, the little ones?
The ones with like the big.
Oh, on the bats. The purple bats.
No, towards the end of the game.
The Neo Shadow is what this is based on.
Yeah, they have like the big floppy antenna
no, they're not
things.
in. They're not in that.
No, I thought they appeared in.
No, they're only in right near the end kind of thing, and in Kingdom Hearts 2.
I hate the invisible ones in Hollow Bastion. I remember when I was getting attacked there one time by like an invisible enemy. I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" I thought something was like glitched, and then I realized that they were.
It's like the night one, and then you suddenly you can start seeing him, and he disappears again.
Yeah,
and you're like, go away, fucking annoying me. Yeah, I remember that thing.
I think is that everything on Aladdin. I mean, we've been going for like an hour and 10 minutes. We've got another one to do. It feels like I haven't barely said anything. Like, do you have a favorite shot, like a favorite scene? Have we talked about that? Is it Prince Ali? Is that sequence?
That sequence would be my favorite scene. In terms of
or like a bit of animation that sticks out to you, maybe.
That whole thing, the animation, everything. Because you have so when obviously the genie, because he transformed at that point as an overall into the human thing, and where he's like sort of here, and you got the stuff running in the background, but he's sort of overtaken. I don't know how to explain that, but he's overtaken. Like he's there. You got the background behind him. I just love the whole sequence of what he turns into, and he turns into loads of different things. That would be my favorite shot sequence kind of thing. But actual shot. I don't know. That's a hard one. Of an actual shot.
It's probably something from A Whole New World for me when they're flying above the clouds. I would say. Like if I was going to snapshot one image, it would probably be that. I really like the bit where, sort of around that scene actually, just like the bit at the balcony, the conversation with Aladdin and Jasmine, where he's like, she tells him to jump off the balcony, but he stood on the carpet, and I don't know, some of the shots like that are really well done. It's just an absolutely gorgeous film. Like again, like the talent behind it to get this done.
I would love to be
one of the best.
Prince in a castle like that. That'd be so cool. Like a Arabian palace, because they have cool swords, and I just like it.
But Carl Pilkington said this on, I don't know if it was An Idiot Abroad. Would you prefer to be living where Aladdin is, where your view is the palace, or would you prefer to live in the palace and your view is an absolute shithole of like a scummy city?
The palace, because I'd get a pet tiger, and if I'd get Jasmine, even if she was my sister, I'd get Jasmine. Do you know what I mean? Back then, I'm sure it was legal.
It probably was. Yeah,
like,
probably was.
You'd get Jasmine around, and also like you'd always have handmaidens. And I know it was a shithole, but at the end of the day, you could go inside. You got the stone walls, and I just think, do you know what? I think it's a really good setting, a really good era, like that whole Arabian Nights, and I love that, like Prince of Persia setting, and everything like that. I think it's really, really cool. I love that whole thing. I know, like, obviously, like you say, the whole thing's a shithole. It's the same thing when you're in an English castle. Outside is always going to be, do you know what I mean? So it's that same sort of thing. But I do love that setting. I love the palace. I love the architecture of it. I think it's really cool.
Anything else I need to mention? I don't know if I mentioned this already on this review. I probably have already, but there was a meme series years ago now, like in the infancy of the internet, and it was called Aladdin in the Cave of Cheeseburgers, and it had 6 parts when you couldn't exceed like 10 minutes on YouTube. And I thought it was the most hilarious thing ever. And actually, not too long ago, a couple of months ago, someone's uploaded the whole thing, and I went back and rewatched it. And it was really good fun going back to it. And there were still a lot of bits that made me laugh. It's like the first 20 or so minutes of the movie, and someone's 20 to 30 minutes of the movie, and they've put like silly voices over it. You'll probably watch it now thinking like, what the fuck is this? This is stupid. Which it is. It's ridiculous, but that you have a lot of fond memories of that as well.
The famous one, isn't he?
You said this before.
I swear down he's famous.
Brian said he's not famous. He told us.
I swear he is. But he might be fucking with us.
But now, but what if this Brian Emery does become famous?
Yeah, there you go.
And then we have 2. Yeah.
It could be. I feel like he is famous. I feel like he's fucking with us. I do genuinely believe this Brian Emery is famous. I don't know why, but in my head he is. Maybe if one day he becomes famous, he'll remember this and go, "You always said it would happen." There you go. So it could be me just predicting the future. That's what I do.
I think we'll round it off there then for Aladdin. As I say, it feels like I've barely said anything, but I absolutely adore this film. Like going back to it, I've watched this film more times than I care to remember. So similar to what you said about Robin Hood, where you went into that, you knew you liked it, you'd watched it fairly recently, you watched it again, and you didn't really notice anything new. It's still just as good as you remember it. That's kind of what I had with this one. That's not to say I was like let down by going back to rewatch it again, but I mean, I probably watched this film last year. Like it's been very, very recent since I last watched this film, and I know it like the back of my hand because just absolutely rinsed it as a kid. And I'm kind of going to be like that with a lot of the Disney Renaissance films, I think, but some of them I haven't seen, like Tarzan, for example, haven't seen anywhere near as many times as I have the likes of Aladdin or Lion King or whatever. So I think I'm still riding the high of Beauty and the Beast from last week. Like that to me is top tier, like S plus tier Disney. But this is just a great fun adventure flick with a like really nice message to it, really nice heart to it, good animation and phenomenal music. And that's what I want from my Disney movies. So that is our review on Aladdin. So obviously we're live for this, and we're going to be recording another review right now, which you guys will be seeing at the normal time of 8 p.m. on Monday. We're going to gear up to talk about The Lion King. We've already talked for an hour and 15 on this, and we're probably going to be talking the same amount of time on The Lion King, but at least we can get 2 done. So this will be a pre-recorded one, and you guys can see this on Monday. I mean, this is arguably Disney's biggest film. Well, no, we can't say that now, can we? Because technically it's Frozen if we're going by the animated ones. But then the live action came out and made this the highest gross animated film again. The Lion King, the cultural phenomenon that it is, and we'll almost be timing it right with the 30th anniversary as well, which we didn't intend to do. That's just the way, sometimes these miracles happen.
That's almost
30 years.
Basically, in 2000, that's where the 70s was.
Ooh.
And now this is where...
Oh, don't say things like that, please. Please don't say things like that. Anyway, we'll round off. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We will see you on Monday.
There are people around that now have kids who weren't around then.
I know. I know.
It's great.